In the 12th century AD, the Islamic world was going through a difficult period, as the Crusades continued to the Islamic East, targeting the Holy Lands, especially the city of Jerusalem. In the midst of these crises, a man emerged who would be immortalized in history as a hero and a great leader, Saladin al-Ayyubi, the man who united Muslims and led them to achieve a historic victory over the Crusaders. Saladin al-Ayyubi was born in Tikrit in 1137 AD to a noble Kurdish family. He was raised by his father Najm al-Din Ayyub, who was the governor of several cities in Syria and Iraq, and received his military and political education at the court of Nur al-Din Zangi, the just ruler and brave leader who sought to unify the Islamic kingdoms in the face of the Crusaders. In 1174 AD, Nur al-Din Zangi died, and that was the beginning of the rise of Saladin. Saladin established the Ayyubid state and assumed the rule of Egypt and the Levant after a series of alliances and victories. He was known for his military and political acumen, as he realized that the true strength of Muslims lies in unity. Therefore, he worked to unify the Islamic ranks and direct efforts towards one goal, which is the liberation of the Holy Land. In 1187 AD, Saladin led the famous Battle of Hattin, which is a turning point in the history of the Crusades. Thanks to his strategic planning and the fighting ability of his armies, Saladin was able to achieve a crushing victory over the Crusaders. The Battle of Hattin was the key to reclaiming Jerusalem, and indeed, Saladin entered the city on October 2, 1187 AD. However, despite his victory, Saladin showed great mercy to the Crusader civilians. Unlike what the Crusaders did when they occupied the city 88 years earlier, where they unleashed bloody massacres. The liberation of Jerusalem was a turning point in Saladin's life, but it was not the end. With the entry into Jerusalem, the third phase of the Crusades began, as King Richard the Lionheart of England led a new campaign to reclaim Jerusalem. Saladin and Richard fought a long struggle in many battles, but despite the enmity, both leaders showed great respect for each other. Although Richard was unable to retake Jerusalem, he reached an agreement with Saladin to allow Christian pilgrims to visit the city. On March 4, 1193 AD, Saladin died in Damascus after a life full of achievements. Despite his great wealth during his rule, he died without leaving behind anything but his armor and sword, as he had spent most of his wealth for the sake of Islam and the unity of Muslims. Saladin left an immortal mark on the history of the Islamic and Western worlds alike. He was an example of a just and merciful leader and was called al-Nasir because he was a supporter of the weak and oppressed. He said,